Dire team ban.
And welcome back, everybody. You're watching the Premier League playoffs. This is game number 2, Virtus.Pro versus Fnatic. Now, Fnatic do hold that 1-0 lead. Virtus.Pro have it all to do this match. They have to win it 12. They don't have to. They could lose this and still win the first place prize. Of course, this is a double elimination playoffs. So if Virtus.Pro lose this match, we will be seeing them again in game number 3 tonight. But as it is, of course, you do want to stay in that winner's bracket. They can win this game. They are at least guaranteed to make it through into third place. Anyway, not win this series rather, not this particular game. Anyway, Fnatic, they were looking really strong in the early game. Fnatic, of course, had a huge goal lead to begin with. They were looking very, very strong. Virtus.Pro brought it back around about the 25-minute mark. Fnatic started stalling and sputtering about a bit. Virtus.Pro started to strike back with that anti-mage, got his farm up and running at a fairly timely manner, managed to pick up the Manta style as well as the Battle Fury together, and started doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately, their coordination of the team fights just really started falling apart very quickly. NS really wasn't landing those ice paths, and they just didn't get that really good in Magnus initiate. They didn't get the combo in off the Magnus initiation they really wanted, and unfortunately, they made a few sloppy mistakes in some of the team fights, and Fnatic just pounced on top of it, took advantage, and just shut them down completely. I should mention, for people who are just joining us, Fnatic and Virtus.Pro have played 4 times and in 4 series in the last couple of months, and they are tied up on 2 wins apiece. So, fairly even match. That said, Fnatic are on a bit of a hot streak lately. Should mention they are sitting on 6-0 in their defense groups. They are definitely one of the hot teams lately. A lot of people really fanboying about them. I know a lot of people in the chat are going, please let Notal play Meepo. In fact, I would love to see him playing Meepo. Virtus.Pro actually banned it out as their 4th ban last match. Now, Virtus.Pro actually managed to get their hands on Nyx Assassin. He was banned. 2nd ban by Virtus.Pro in game number 1. This time around, Fnatic have decided to ban off again. They have decided to ban off that lifesteal. No real surprise because they wanted that lone draw. And of course, lifesteal is a pretty good answer to lone draw. They have gone with the Magnus as well. Virtus.Pro decided to let both those slip through instead, as well as Darkseer being banned out by VP. And of course, Batrider, the ever banned hero, unfortunately, doesn't really get to have a lot of fun all that often. But now the double pick from Virtus.Pro. We'll see where they go with here. Whether or not they're going for some kind of defense trialing. Because Nyx Assassin does get picked, as a defensive trialing option. Mostly just because heroes go and try and set up a fight there, and the Nyx Assassin just pops the carapace and wanders through the fight and then messes everything up. It's a very frustrating trade of his. Of course, it does slow down his mid-game quite dramatically. It does slow him down item-wise. Of course, we've seen players like Kuriki, if he's given time to get a lot of farm on Nyx Assassin, he goes from mobility build, 4-star, blink dagger, and he can cause a lot of havoc during fights with that. But regardless, we'll see where they go. I get the feeling it's going to be Nyx, Luna, and Rubik in the safe lane. That's my gut feeling here from Virtus.Pro. They seem to have picked a fairly obvious set of heroes here. That said, Luna, like we saw last match, could wind up in the mid lane. We'll see where they go with that, though. Arrow, though, likely to be playing Lone Druid again. I mean, Fnatic, like, you know what, work game 1, might as well go again game 2. Why not? We'll see what they decide to go with. They were fairly comfortable in game 2. It's a little bit shaky in that mid-game when anti-mage started to get rolling, but they recovered nicely. But the 3rd pick here for Fnatic, they've most likely got their mid in the form of Magnus here. He will probably just be doing a bottle rush in the mid there, most likely. But we'll see where he goes. And of course, Virtus.Pro, they do have, I think they may. Mid-game is going to be tricky here, just because with Nyx Assassin, Fnatic are going to have to be fairly careful. With Nyx Assassin out and about, he can manage to snipe off heroes unexpectedly, so it's one of the things. Pro teams will, of course, bring their detection. They will have the gems, they will have the awards out and about, but every now and then, they might just get just one of those luck factors. You might just blunder in against someone and just get that hero, just that quick pick off that stalls a push. And it's one of those things, especially with the 25, if you're going for a 25-minute push or so, you don't want to push 4v5. You want to have that advantage there. You don't want to be down a hero just straight away because Nyx managed to get a lucky find. That said, though, speaking of lucky finds, it will be fairly hard to burst stuff down if Chen is on the map there, of course. He screamed for it, he will have that heal on demand. Fnatic, though, going for another early push here. By the looks of things, Chen being selected this time instead. Queen of Pain being banned out by Fnatic makes sense. And of course, one of the ways you could deal with an early push, of course, is a mobile hero like Queen of Pain, built-in blink, built-in mobility spell, and then of course huge AOE burst damage that can completely and utterly mess everything up. Just one bad pitch, even if she doesn't kill everybody, just slamming them all with Sonic Wave and a Scream, That is crippling. That is a lot of damage of level, even if it's only about level 11 or so, it's a lot of damage. And it can just stop a push right there, and then they'll have to back off, go and heal, just stall things out, let someone like Luna just get that farm rolling. That said, we do have Shadow Demon banned out as well, no real surprise. Of course, he's annoying to, when he pushes, he's actually really annoying. Of course, Disruption is very powerful on the push. We see heroes like Luna being used, they just go and disrupt Luna and then send the illusions forward and just use it to remotely push a tower. That's the kind of thing you can do, of course, with Fnatic's line. That said, though, of course, the disruption saves as well, the big deal as well. It just allows a hero to play very aggressively, get caught out of position. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card, basically. Bounty Hunter also being banned out by Fnatic. No surprise there, of course. It is a very good way to mess up an early push as well. Just throwing those tracks in. Not only we have vision, negative armor is also good, but it's that gold bounty. You mess up a couple of fights. It's one of the push lineup is you really don't want to mess up fights. You mess up a couple of fights, things get really hairy. As we saw there, a couple of fights went wrong for Fnatic last game, about the 25-minute mark. A couple of fights went wrong, things got a little bit scary as Anti-Mage got a little bit fun. Now, when you throw in track money on top of that, that's when things get really, really tough. To just completely swing a game around, just that goal gain there. That said, though, of course, that's why you banned him out. Jakira also mentioned his slip in there as a final ban from Virtus.Pro. Do have Dirge being banned out there, fairly late ban on Dirge. Now, Fnatic, unlikely. I'm gonna say it, unlikely to Meepo in this case. I don't. Then again, I mean, if anything's gonna help Meepo, it's Chen. The mass AOE heals from Chen are really, really nice. But I'm not feeling it. I get the feeling he's going to wind up in a No-Tal is one of their, generally speaking, one of their support players, and in this case, I get the feeling he's going to be on Chen. So I really would doubt seeing a Meepo here, just from the hero picks alone. I get the feeling we're going to see Trixie playing Magnus in the side lane, Chen most likely being played by No-Tal in the jungle, Lone Druid being played by Era in the safe lane, and then Hanny taking something solo mid in a minute. We see Templar Assassin, though, the final ban there for Fnatic. Of course, Templar Assassin is still a very viable hero. Nature's Prophet being picked up by Virtus.Pro, and this is not a bad option. This is definitely not a bad option at all. When you've got a team like Fnatic's lineup here that want to just go in 5-man push, bust down towers, Nature's Prophet is an excellent choice, just because you can just go, you know what, you push that tower, I'm going to go and push another tower somewhere else on the map, and we'll just trade towers. At the same time, the 5-man push will push a lot faster, but Nature's Prophet has a tendency of just chipping away at towers gradually over time and just leaving them in a position that when someone opts for that big push, that he can just go, alright, let me just slip over there and just bust down a tower while you're busy. So not a bad choice from Virtus.Pro at all, and I definitely see the synergy where they're going for that. In this case, probably going to be their suicide lane, unless they might even abandon. They might even abandon their suicide lane and just send him into the jungle. I'm just looking at that lineup there. If it ends up with like a Lone Druid, Chen in there in the jungle as well, along with something like a Rubik again or a Vengeful Spirit as well, that's also a possibility. Basically, they've got a stun, they've got Chen's creep that can disable as well, and then you throw in Lone Druid, the bear, the roots, that sort of business. Nature's Prophet doesn't want to be anywhere near that. There's not really a whole lot of ways he can deal with that. He's got no decent escape mechanism, of course. They can deal with the trees fairly easily just because they can vision over the trees with the Wave of Terror. So I would not be surprised if Nature's Prophet says screw it and goes into the jungle straight away. Or at least once the bear hits level 5, you just go abandon that lane entirely. And chances are they'll be giving away around about a 4 to 8 minute tower in that lane regardless of his presence there. As we saw last match, Windrunner, who is infinitely better at escaping from trouble and can harass and CS at a better range. Or never mind, it could actually... this is tough to actually predict. They could be all over the show. I mean, they've got a lot of possibilities. Nature's Prophet could be straight up jungle. Beastmaster Beastmaster could be a suicide lane. They could even send Luna mid. And we've even seen Nature's Prophet mid in the past, although really unlikely in this case. Oh, wow. Virtus.Pro could be doing just about anything with his lineup. This is fairly... Because they picked up Nature's Prophet and Beastmaster, that's a very flexible Meepo! As I lose my train of thought, the crowd call for it, the crowd call for blood, and they will get it. It will be a no-tail Meepo. Here it comes. So we'll just spoil it in chat. Let everybody get excited there. It is a Meepo. Thank you, no-tail. Oh boy, this will be a good one. And I mean, this is another reason to love Fnatic. Not only they're a great team, but they will do crowd favorites just because it is awesome. So the question is, who will be taking over? Hanny is going to be playing the Vengeful Spirit here. Now, Trixie's suiciding. Fly, of course, will be playing Who's mid then? Era could be taking the Lone Druid mid. That's also possible. Anyway, let me get rid of the sidebar. So let me call out the players here. So, playing for Virtus.Pro on the Radiant side, we have NS playing Rubik, Ammon playing Luna, KSR Nature's Prophet, Santa playing Beastmaster, and Tame My Wild playing the Nyx Assassin. For the Dire side, we have got Fly playing the Chen, Notel playing Meepo, Era on the Lone Druid, Trixie playing Magnus, and Hanny on the Vengeful Spirit. Now, where are they sending Era? I think Era is going to be solo mid here. I doubt they'll be sending the Meepo to mid. Meepo will be taking the safe lane. They're going to be backed up by both the Vengeful Spirit as well as the Chen there. Of course, Chen will start up with the jungle. In fact, they've actually upped their Greevil here. They've gone, let's get a Seraphic. Decided they've won the first match. Let's upgrade the Greevil for good luck. Pull out the better looking one. Meanwhile, Santa just cutting down this very stock standard maneuver here when you do the Beastmaster is to cut down these trees, just rush out straight away, cut down the trees, and then go back for mana. And this, if he decides to sit in the lane for a bit, to just gain experience straight away, he could do this. At the same time, he could go over here. If it's too rough, he could just go over here and just decide, you know what, let me just go and stack Ancients. That's also a possibility. That said, this lane won't be that easy. Of course, they've got the stunner set up, and of course, net there from Meepo is always annoying. Throwing a Chen creep as well, frustrating stuff. It looks like they're just going to go for an early creep jack here as well. Nature's Prophet sending the treants out, sending out his tree puppets to collect the creep wave. And what they want to do is they're just going to buy time here. They're going to drag this creep wave away for a bit, and this is just going to allow the Radiant creep to run up under the tower and die. And that'll push the wave back towards Beastmaster and just make it safer for him just to sit there and leech experience. Mostly he's just looking for early experience here. Meanwhile, though, it will be a solo mid Nyx Assassin up against a Lone Druid. Luna going to be taking the safe lane here, being backed up by NS there, who will be looking after it. And Nature's Prophet straight in the jungle, 4 clarities there. He's also camping some gold as well. It's gone. I think we might be seeing a very, very fast Midas in a minute. We'll see though. Probably pick up the Basilius somewhere in there as well. It's always useful to help the tree puppets CS. Someone would like the mic volume up. I will just dial it up a little bit there. Anyway, so we do have Santa sitting up here in the mid, up in the top lane. He's managed to get that level 2. It's what he wanted. That's a pretty good result. They got the creep jack there. It worked out. Did exactly what it needed to. Now if things get rough here, which they are probably going to get fairly hairy in a minute there, as you see Meatboat is starting to CS with the poof. Once he gets that net rolling, you see here, there we go, Hanny just basically shepherding him away, saying, alright, get out of this lane. Go and back off. We don't want you sitting in the experience range. And we may see Sanders give up on this in a minute and just go and stack Ancients, because it will really start to get hairy once Meepo starts throwing those nets out. Anyway, Era in the mid lane though, up against Tame My Wild. This shouldn't be too bad for either of them. They should both be able to CS fairly effectively here, of course. In fact, that Greevil almost walking into a bit of trouble there. See, Nyx Assassin though, just going to cop a bit of damage. That's it, he's managed to pick up his bottle in a fairly timely manner, so a pretty decent result for him in this mid lane. Now, this is going to get messy. I'm really worried about Meepo. Just the ganking potential there could be somewhat problematic, but we'll see. See, Notel actually has a boss hat there. Nice. Rubik, though, has picked up the early counter wards. Hasn't needed them so far. We may actually see him take him to the top lane in a second there, just to help out with their potential gank attempts up there. Meanwhile though, Trixie headed towards the top lane as well, still only level 1. Hasn't really been having much success at bottom. He may actually just switch over to just helping a Chen jungle, just trying to leech experience like that. This bottom lane definitely not been a whole lot of fun for him, with Rubik in there, and as well as the fact that Nature's Prophet not a huge threat there, but it's always annoying. Just throwing those extra couple of auto attacks. But yes, he's just gone screw. I think it's mostly just the telekinesis as well as Luna. She's just got a lot of harassment there with the Luna strike. Very, very powerful stuff. And meanwhile, Nyx is just shuttling the bottle back and forth there. It looks like already been forced to burn the rune. And there we go, Nature's Prophet. That is a very, very fast Midas he's going for. He's trying to get that one out ASAP. As we see the Radiant side using that creep jack. This is actually often something they'll do. So Dire side will block this pull to make sure they can't get their hands. But that said, I mean, they don't really want to block it this time around because they stack this. Basically, what they can do here is, once Meepo hits level 6, he can actually start burning. He can actually start CSing that fairly effectively with his nukes. This is a burst damage from Meepo. It's one of the best things to do with Meepo, in fact. Jungle stacks are Meepo clears jungles very, very quickly because of his puff. He can just basically rip through them with that, so would not be surprised once he hits level 6 he'll be tearing through it as quickly as possible. I'm a little bit worried though for Meepo just because with Raw they can isolate one fairly quickly. Aaron now taking a bit of damage there from the harassment there. Tamar, while though has a full bottle up and running. The Bear though taking a fair amount of damage. Recall there quickly before he could have that knocked off. And Santa just trying to get the aggro there, misses though. And in fact, they're not actually going to leave that for Meepo. In fact, Chandi's going to take this. You know what? That's mine. Just going to get his CS up and rolling there. We'll just check the far goal. No real advantage either way just yet. This is something that we'll have to be careful about. The fact that Nick's not going to be able to defend that mid lane all that well. That said, of course, KSI, once he's ready to start rolling around, start getting those pushes happening. This is the thing, both heroes have a fairly mobile lineup. Of course, Meepo can be all over the show very rapidly. Meanwhile, they'll gank in mid. They're going to try and pick up Era. A lot of trouble. Should be the first blood there. Nick's going to pick it up. A haste rune, not even needed there. It was mostly just a double gank there. Rubik jumping in, as well as Nature's Prophet teleporting in from behind and just getting that spread there. Even at level 1, it is effective there. Unfortunately, Lauren drew it out of tangos by the looks of things, and just easy meat for him there. Magnus still in this top lane here. It's just going, screw it, I'm just going to sit around here and pull. They've completely abandoned this bottom lane, giving Ammon complete free farm. This could be, look at this, Ammon now 39. Of course, this did happen game number 1. Luna, as well as Lone Drill, were getting tons and tons of farm. Anti-Mage did catch up, and I would put Meepo in one of those heroes. He can flash farm his way back into shape very quickly, much like Shadow Fiend can flash farm very, very efficiently with the puff, as well as the fact that he is very mobile across the map. Not only can he nuke down stacks very quickly, he can also get from lane to lane to lane very, very quickly and burst down the creep plays very quickly. Much as if it were an anti-mage, just basically cleaving his way through a creep camp. But now the smoke gank here from Chen and Vengeful Spirit. They're looking to pick off Santa. Santa now might be actually, I think he's worried. Is he going to go and stack? Well, what is he doing? I think he's getting ready to block. These guys, so they're getting ready. They're just going to try and harass him back here towards him. And here we go. Here's the setup. There's the magic missile. Net going to get tossed out there as well. There's the Centaur Stomp. And there's the Puff as well. Meepo will pick that up. Nice and easy. No real contest. And this tier 1 tower, like before, Glyph gets popped there by the Radiant side. Looks like they're going to muster some defenses there. Poured in there from Rubik. Not going to be enough for his own. They will need some backup here for him. Or maybe not. Actually, there we go. Teleport out there for Trixie. Is he going to cancel it? He will pick up Chen instead. He was going for the cancel. A little bit too slow there. Centaur pops a stomp down. Their net gets tossed out. And absolutely not sure where that net was going at all. It's tossed down. It might have been looking for the Nyx, actually. They throw down a counter ward there. Tamar Wild's in trouble. Centaur stomps on cooldown, though. Puff gets tossed out. Doesn't hit anything, though. Net thrown out. Doesn't connect. That could have gone poorly there. Fortunately, he managed to pop off the carapace just in time. Meanwhile, though, gank in mid, no, not happening there. KSI will manage to back up in time. No roots being procced there either. Lone Druid looks like he's... they're probably going to be a Midas for him as well. Have we got a Midas yet? Oh, Nature's probably getting close to it. We'll pick up fairly soon. Oh, here we go. Eclipse. He's looking for the... There we go. Here comes the Eclipse. He's going to pop it right now. There we go. Bear gets resummoned, though. Bounces her damage. Unfortunately, KSI had one job, and it was to hit the bear, and he failed at it. He was supposed to trigger the return, make sure I put it on cooldown. Unfortunately, messed up there and allowed him to get it back in time. Okay, so a little bit slow on the ball. Hawk being used to scout. Still only level 1 pets, I think. Yes, only level 1 pets. Level 2 in the axes, as well as 1 in... It's a fairly common... If you're going for a push lineup, that's a fairly common thing. I think I'm fairly sure the Chinese started doing that. They go for 1 in the inner beast, and then they get the other spells up and running after that. 1 or 2 levels, just for the extra damage. And now Meepo into trouble. There's the Impale as well. And yes, an easy kill there. Not even needing that Raw from Beastmaster, who still hasn't got that. Still only level 5. That's exactly what they want. Unfortunately, the Vendetta, with the Vendetta, the speed increase, but Meepo just wasn't able to get away too quick. And it's one of the things you'll see the pro level Nyx Assassin, the fact they don't really use Vendetta as a burst damage. They don't really bother about Vendetta for the burst damage. What they mostly do is they just get themselves within Impale range. That's the biggest use of Vendetta, especially in the early phase, is just to get themselves within range. Sometimes, you know, they'll see the opportunity to get the burst damage down, but often it's just to get off that Impale, especially when they know there's... Nyx knew that there was a counter ward here because he got spotted earlier. So he knew he just had to get in there and get that Impale off quickly before Meepo could start throwing down nets. Meanwhile, Meepo actually opening up there with the O Club. Will he be going straight for an Argonims? We'll see. Get the feeling that's probably going to come out in a minute. Lone Druid, though, still working towards that minus. It has picked the Orb of Venom there for the Bear. What else have we got here? I'm just going to bring up the overall gold chart there. It's been a 1.5k advantage there for the Radiant side, as well as a 2.5k experience lead in roughly. Hawk getting picked off there. Vendetta being used again. Still only level 1 though, so the duration not that great. Now, no tail. He's got the defensive Meepo here. They might go for that one though. This is spotted up there. The stun gets tossed out there by Hanny. Raw gets tossed out as well though. Net thrown down there. There we go. Impale being used. Doesn't quite connect with the Meepos there. They stun themselves on the Carapace. They're still going to gun for this one. They don't change their mind there. Actually, no, they want it. They're going for it. The Creeper here to tank the damage. Meepo, though, no tail could poof away. There we go. Throws out the Impale. Catches him. Cancels it. He's into trouble here. Here comes a Skewer, though, trying to save the day. Carapace thrown down there. Will manage to kill himself on the Carapace. Poofing out. Getting killed there by the Carapace. Almost managed to escape. Skewer back down Sander. Can they get a revenge kill here? Sander falling low. One more hit. No, doesn't quite get it. Beastmaster now healing up with a health potion. And Vengeful Spirit getting picked up as well. Virtus.Pro playing that one very nicely. And unfortunately for No Tail, that was a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation there. He had to try and poof out. He had no choice. If he'd stayed and just tried to walk away, he would have been cut down there. Unfortunately, so low, the poof managed to pick him off.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
And Shen going for the early mech here, still without boots. Meanwhile, though, Meepo just using that poof there to try and burst his way through the creep wave. Where's his second one? I've lost track of his second minion there. There it is. There's the clone. What items is a good Ogre Club, got the Tranquil Boots. The reason he's got the Tranquil Boots mostly is just because he can spot heal them all on all the Meepos, so it's fairly effective there. And the fact is, you'll see the pug build for a Meepo is you have to get a mech. In this situation, Chen is rushing the hell out of the mech because he knows he's got to get that mech ASAP for the Meepo. Just so Meepo can instead rush the Argonym Scepter instead. This basically just speeds him up so he doesn't need that level. Because the big deal about Meepo is he goes for that big push. And once he tries, his job is to out farm the other hero, to rush and beat them to level 16 and then out carry everybody for those few minutes. And the Argonym Scepter, if he gets that first, it just means he doesn't need to hit the level 16 straight away. He can really start fighting once he gets that Argonym Scepter on level 11. But as it is, it's going to take him a little while to get there. He has been slowed down fairly effectively. And there we go. There's that Impale and the Vendetta damage as well. Easy pick off there on Chen. That is going to slow that down quite significantly. Also going to lose his creep as well. Nature's Prophet going to grab that one as well, greedy as he is. There we go, Bear being recalled. Now, how close are they? Now, they picked the minus both the Lone Druid as well as Nature's Prophet. In fact, he's gone. Wow, okay, he's getting aggressive. Actually going for the hand of Minus along with.
Dire's top tower.
Of the Hand of Mice along with the Medallion of Courage. Yes, it looks like No Tail decided to back up there. Although, there we go. Oh no, Hanny. Into trouble there. Although the net gets tossed out by Meepo, saving his life. Or not quite. As Hanny will get caught out there by KSI and then burst down. Unfortunately, thought he was scot-free. It wasn't to be though. Good gank there from KSI, jumping and setting up that fight. Top tower also falling as well. This is Meepo going to lose a lot of room there though. He's going to go for the pick off here on KSI. Raw gets tossed out on No Tail. No Tail's in trouble. There we go. Hand of God being popped by Chen. No Tail though low. He will get picked off there. Meepo clone gets picked off. And now Santa trying to disengage it. He will get picked off as well. But that was definitely a worthwhile grab there from Virtus.Pro, slowing down Meepo some more. They do need to keep in mind though that Lone Druid is free farming at the moment, but then again, so is Airman. Airman is getting all the cash at once. There we go. Luna actually doing the Ring of... This is a more stock standard build. Ring of Aquila, and then the Drums of Endurance for Luna. This is a far more common build for Luna than what we saw last match from Fnatic. It's a very stock standard build for Luna there. Just a lot of little early items that she builds that ramps it up very quickly. There we go, Tamar. While they're getting close to that level 11, that's when Vendetta really starts to get mean. And for stuff like Chen, this is where Vendetta is really going to suck, because he just cannot farm this jungle with impunity now. He always has to worry about that. Is Nyx assassin here? Is Nyx getting ready to burst me down? Always has to worry about that. Now here Meepo poofing about there, just trying to clean up an easy camp. Of course, No Tail, always farm. It's a key thing for Meepos. Always got to be farming. And it looks like... Okay... That's an odd assortment of items there. As you see, Roshan getting picked off though by the Radiant side. Easy pick off there, using the tree puppets there to tank. And they're going to give it to Luna. Alright, well, I'll see where Meepo goes with this one then. Picking off that Scouting Hawk, and this is definitely really annoying for Fnatic. The fact they've always got to worry, and there we go. Nyx assassin, he's found a target. Can he get the damage yet? There we go, that's the Vendetta, throws out the Impale. Does he have any backup coming? Hand of God still on cooldown. The Carapace gets tossed down. They're trying to get rid of him there, and they will manage to toss out the stun there to slow him down. No-Tail now being sent home, back to base. They will teleport out in time. We do lose the Vengeful Spirit though. Eclipse being tossed in. Era's in some trouble. Era gets picked off. They also bring down the Lone Druid as well. Shen as well. 4 kills there. A triple kill there for Luna as well. Oh, Fnatic, and I know some people are going to be realizing, okay, maybe this isn't why we see that much Meepo. Meepo is very, very vulnerable in sort of this early phase to just getting ganked and picked off, especially with a bit of AoE as well. It is really, really frustrating stuff. He's got to sit down, he's got to farm, and the game of heroes that need to be effective early on, need to be powerhouses early on. That's the current meta at the moment. I really think Meepo would have shone more in a meta where Anti-Mage was king. He would have really had that ability to sort of out-farm the Anti-Mage. But anyway, there we go. See, this is the issue. Meepo has to try and rush and out-farm the enemy hero. Maybe if they didn't have Meepo as well as in Fnatic call it GG. Ouch. I think mostly it was just the draft here. The fact they have 1, 2, 3 heroes that are really greedy for money. Chen, while technically a support hero, he has to rush the mech for Meepo. He's got to get that early farm in, and he didn't get it. You see here, he's still trying to get that mech up at 15 minutes. Meepo, still trying to farm as well. And a fairly odd assortment of items. In fact, actually traded these Tranquils there. That's what... I was wondering what that Ogre Club was, the Belt of Ogre Strength was for. It was, in fact, he was trading out the Tranquils instead for the power treads, and this is it. They just didn't get the farm. I think if Lone Druid was a hero more like, say, Queen of Pain, a hero who had firepower in the early mid game, who could pick up the slack for Meepo and Shen, just really start getting stuck in and counter ganking, that sort of business, and just putting pressure around the map, or at least pressure on Luna, just taking attention away from Meepo and Shen, just getting them out of that jungle. That might have been something Fnatic could have worked, but unfortunately, just too many greedy heroes and just Virtus.Pro were able to take control of the map, take control of the game, and shut down Fnatic. But anyway, that will be a quick match, and I know the fans will be slightly disappointed. But stay tuned. Game number 3 coming up, of course, best of 3 series. Virtus.Pro versus Fnatic. This will be the deciding one. And of course, after that, we will have Dignitas versus Empire coming up.